Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a sleep physician. And if you have insomnia, this channel is for you. Today, we follow up with Kathy from episode 91 and 92 regarding her sleep study, as well as answer an important question from her regarding the girl that couldn't sleep. Nice having you back here, and if it's your first time on this channel, welcome, and I hope you find something of value here. If you have not listened to or watched episode 91 and 92, those two episodes are about Kathy. She reached out to me with a question regarding if she should have a sleep study given that she has insomnia. And before I talk more about this, as always, nothing here is specific medical advice to Kathy or anybody else, but general thoughts, general advice that I hope will be helpful to you, Kathy, or anybody else that is listening. Now, to kind of summarize those two episodes, in episode 91, I said that personally, I almost never will order a sleep study for somebody that has insomnia without symptoms of obstructive sleep apnea. And that is, of course, when obstructive sleep apnea is when somebody is like snoring really loudly, has difficulty breathing in sleep, and that can definitely be an underlying cause for insomnia. But if there are no such symptoms, then sleep testing is often not that helpful, because you know that you have trouble sleeping, and kind of looking at exactly how many minutes you sleep or how much REM sleep you have, how much deep sleep you have is interesting, but often doesn't really change management. Like, it doesn't really change how you move forward. But as I said in that episode, there is like one exception, which is if somebody has what's called paradoxical insomnia, which is this condition where you are like significantly underestimating how much you sleep, then it can be helpful, because for some people, just like knowing that they sleep more than they think they sleep can be very reassuring. I have had at least one patient that found out that they slept more than they thought and was really reassured by that. So in episode 92, we learned that Kathy had decided to move ahead with her sleep study. And unfortunately, she shared with me that she came to the sleep lab and she stayed awake. She was awake until 2 a.m., at which point her sleep technician, canceled the study and she went home. So that's very unfortunate. I was very sorry to read this. I told Kathy I was hopeful that something meaningful would come out of the study. And as I was thinking about it, I was trying to look from a positive perspective and see, like, is there anything that we can learn from this? And I think there are two things. So first of all, it kind of illustrates how oftentimes sleep testing, if you have, typical insomnia type symptoms, is not that helpful. That is one thing. But in this particular case, you present to the sleep lab, you don't sleep for many hours, and the study is interrupted. Is there anything we can learn from that? Well, from a patient perspective, I think there isn't maybe so much you've learned. You have a hard time sleeping, and this confirms that, you didn't sleep for a number of hours. But from a provider, I think there is some takeaway here. Because, if you have a patient with like full-blown paradoxical insomnia, and that is when somebody feels they don't sleep at all, while they in fact sleep perhaps as much as 7 or 8 hours, then doing a sleep study that shows that a patient was awake from, let's say, 9 p.m. until 2 a.m. without any sleep, that tells you that this patient probably does not have this like full-blown paradoxical insomnia. The patient could still have paradoxical insomnia to some degree, but it tells you that this patient is not completely off when they are estimating how much they sleep. And that's what I feel could be something of a takeaway here, trying to be positive, trying to find something positive here. So I'm hopeful this wasn't completely a waste of time for you, Kathy, and that your providers will find something that can help you sleep better from looking at this test. And now Kathy had a question for me. She sent me a link to this study that that I think was really important to go over. And I'm going to really try to dissect it and tell you why I think this is so important. Let's jump right to it. If you're interested in reading the article, there is a link in the description. So this is an article from the Daily Mail from December in 2013, and it's about this young woman called Christina Spears, at the time 22 years old. And the headline reads, "The girl who could never sleep, how superfit student was kept awake by tumor on her kidney and was saved by routine medical exam." And you can tell by the headline that somebody's trying to really grab your attention here. Never is in all caps, and then there were tumors in there. And there's more that tells you a lot about the nature of this article. So let's move ahead here and look at her symptoms. So she's writing that, I quote here, "I had a lot of energy. I wasn't sleeping. I was always on the go. I was never tired." So she describes it as she doesn't really have any problems, you know. She does not describe insomnia type symptoms. In fact, she feels that she was never tired. And I bet that most of you watching this or listening to this would not recognize yourselves. I bet, you know, you probably have trouble sleeping. You have insomnia. You recognize that as a problem. And I would be surprised if you feel that you're never tired. So again, she didn't really have insomnia type symptoms. Now, what happens is that during a routine medical exam, they find that she has really high blood pressure. Eventually, they found a serious condition. She has this adenocarcinoma growing from her adrenal gland that is actually growing onto her liver. She has surgery, and they end by saying she's not cancer-free but takes medications. One of the side effects of the medication happens to be drowsiness. She can't do hot yoga anymore, but now she can sleep. So basically what they're trying to say here is that, if you have trouble sleeping, if you can't sleep, you may have this very serious condition and you may need treatment for that, and treatment can help. But if you read this article in detail, if you really dissect it, it's an article about somebody who never really had any problem sleeping, doesn't report any problem sleeping, felt good, felt great, on the go, never tired, who coincidentally by a routine exam is found to have a tumor. You remove the tumor and she now is perhaps sleeping more. But is that because, she underwent this major surgery? Is it because she's on medications? And is she happy that she's sleeping more? We have no idea. But I think the important thing here is that, there are tons of articles just like this one that are out there to grab the attention of somebody with trouble sleeping. And, attention in the media world means more ads. So they always try to pull things like this, always. So, whenever you read something that insinuates that, having insomnia means that you have a very serious medical condition, really read through the lines and try to dissect and find out what really is going on here. I hope this was helpful to you, Kathy, and anybody else listening, watching. And if you have any questions, problems, concerns, as always, leave me a comment or send me an email at insomniainsight@gmail.com. And I hope to have you back here very soon. Until then, take it easy.